Welcome to video 5 with Emma's Crochet Group for complete beginners and beyond. Today we're going to be looking at how to do the half double crochet stitch. This is abbreviated in patterns to HDC. In UK terminology that would be the half treble stitch, which is shortened to HTR, which we can see here. Half treble, HTR, half double, HDC. Hopefully you can see that on camera nice and clearly. And I'm going to be using a DK weight acrylic yarn today, and that one is known as light worsted in American terms, and I'm going to be using a 4mm wooden crochet hook with that today. That's a suitable size for double knit. You can use 4.5mm usually tends to be your average sort of size for DK, depending on what pattern you're following and what density of stitch you want. We'll start off with our slip knot as usual. So quick recap on that: making the cross under the first, catching the second, pulling up the loop and twisting it round, sliding fingers out and making a little loose slip knot, making sure it sits back and forth, and our hook there. I'm going to just be doing a little sample swatch today with you. So I'm just going to make 10 stitches. So I'm going to chain my 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So that'll be my 10 for my stitches, and I'm going to do 2 more. So that's 1, 2, and I've done those extra 2 because for a turning chain for half double crochet you need 2 chains to get the right height for your stitches. Now you can either work back along the front loops of your chain going under the 2 loops, or you can do as I tend to do and work into the back bumps of the chain. So I rotate the chain towards me and I'm working in these little bumps along the back. I find those easy to work in. So this is your first chain that's still on your hook, and then you've got your second one. So we want to work into the third one. So to do half double crochet, we take a yarn over, so the yarn goes from behind over the front. We then insert into the stitch that we want to insert into. So this is the third loop from the hook. I can just get that into there. There we go. And then yarn over, pull through there, draw up your loops nice and even. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's your half double crochet first stitch made. So yarn over, insert into your next back bump, yarn over, pull through, draw up 3 even loops, yarn over and pull through 3 again. Remember, if I go too fast at any point, you can use the playback speed option on the video to slow it down to slow motion if you find that easier to follow. So we've got our first 2 stitches made there. We'll do a third now. I'm just going to keep working my way along this chain. So if you want to follow along, do, or pause the video and have a go yourself. So I'm yarning over, inserting into that chain, pulling up the loops, drawing through again on those 3 there. I'm just going to keep going until I've got my 10 stitches. So that should be all the chains used if I've counted properly. So I'm just going to keep going across there. So yarning over, inserting into the stitch that I want, yarning over, drawing up 3 equal loops, yarning over and pulling through again. I'm just going to keep going until I've got to the end of my chain there. Now the first starting chain is always that little bit more fiddly as you work into little tiny loops at the beginning, but as your stitches build up it becomes much easier to get your hook into the right places. So by my reckoning I should need 1 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last one's going to go in that last loop right by our slip knot there. So that should give us our 10 stitches. Just pull myself out a bit more yarn there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's your chain 2 right at the ends there. And then now we've got to the end of our row and we've got our foundation row done of half double crochet there. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work over so I can work back along my row of work I've just done. Now I'm not going to count our chain 2 as a stitch for this sample, so my first stitch is going to work into this hole right here, right at the end there. So I'm going to yarn over, and it's exactly the same as what we did into the chain, but we're going into the stitch under the top 2 loops of the stitch because we're not doing front or back loop crochet. So pulling up, so we've got 1, 2, 3 loops, yarning over, drawing through to make our first half double crochet. So that's 1, so yarn over, insert into stitch, yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, 3, so then you pull, yarn over, pull through 3. So it's quite a nice rhythm to half double crochet. I find you can work it quite quickly, and it makes a nice stitch, a little bit taller than the single crochet, but still nice dense stitch if you use a smaller hook to yarn ratio. Obviously the larger hook size you use, the more loopy and holy and stretchy stitches are going to be. So I'm just keeping going across the row as I'm talking to you. So I'm yarning over first before inserting into the stitch, yarning over, pulling that through, making 3 equal straight loops there of the same height, yarning over and pulling through. It's really important to keep your tension whichever method you use. This is probably the more traditional method you'll see used, so over a raised index finger and held in place with ring finger and little finger. You'll find that I tend to just adopt my usual style because I get a nice even tension that way, but just experiment and find what works best for you, so you're getting your tension equal. So make sure you're keeping that tension the same on every stitches and making sure that you're pulling up the loops to the same height. So you can see I've just gone through front loop there only, so I'm going to go back to my usual style so I'm not having to concentrate on holding my yarn in the right tension. So again, it's just going through the 2 loops. As you can see, when I just made a mistake and went just through the 1 loop, it's really easy to just take your hook out and just pull that back out from the stitch where you made the error. And then going into the last one. Now the last one up is going to be a little bit more tricky to see. It's right on the corner there. 1, 2. There's your 2 loops there. It's easy to miss that last one when you're first starting out. So it's really important that to start with you count all your stitches. So I've got to the end of that row and I have still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. I've not gained any, I've not lost any. So my edges are going to remain quite straight. So again, to do the next row, chain 1, 2, turn your work. Again, still not counting that as the first stitch, so we're going to work into this loop here. If this was counting as our first half double crochet, you'd be working into your next stitch here, which is that one there. So again,